Okay, we're going to continue lesson 7.2. This is the on your own part. So there's a couple I've noticed in the middle here, the algebra ones, that you might want a little bit of an example from me first before you try them. So I'm going to do one of them as an example, then you can pause and try all of the others of the on your own on your own. All right, let's see, which one would be a good one for us to try here first? Well, how about we do something like number 18 together? So for this one, it says algebra, right? Less than, greater than, or equal to in the middle. So I'm trying to decide if this whole side of the equation is less than or equal to or greater than this whole side of this equation, not just one of the numbers compared to one of the numbers. So I need to solve this side so I can get this total and compare it to this side's total. Right now, it's kind of like an equation or an expression, we call it. And I don't really know what its total is, so I don't know if it's bigger or smaller yet. I have to solve each one first. So let's solve this side. 70 divided by 10 with that new pattern I just showed you, or that new kind of mental math trick. If I'm dividing something by 10, I basically just cross out that 0. So this side is 7. And then 23 minus 16, that's a little tricky. I'm going to go write it over on the side here. 23 minus 16. I need to start at the top. I can't do 3 minus 6, so I need to regroup. Cross out, cross out. I'm going to borrow 1 from my neighbor, so the 2 becomes a 1. And then I get 10 more. So 3 plus 10 more is 13. 13 minus 6 would be 7, and then 1 minus 1 is 0. So this side is also 7. So I would put an equal sign in the middle. Okay, so that's my tip. Make sure you solve each side, put their total underneath to get one number that you're comparing on each side to the other side. Okay, so now maybe pause and go back and try all of the other ones for yourself to see how you can do. Okay, so if you're back, let me erase this one and I'll go over some of the other answers and maybe some tips for some more of them, of how to solve them. All right, let's scroll back up to the top of the on your own. Find the unknown factor and quotient. So these are like fact families again. 10 times 7 is 70. 70 minus 10 then must be 7. What do you multiply by 10 to get 10? How many 10s do you need to do to get to 10? Just 1. So 10 times 1 is 10. 10 divided by 10 must be 1. Alrighty. Find the quotient. Again, you can use any strategy. You might have done repeated subtraction, subtraction on a number line. You might have counted by 10 with your fingers, or you could have used that little trick where we just take out the 0 when we're dividing by 10. Okay, so 50 divided by 10 is 5. 60 divided by 10 is 6. 40 divided by 10 is 4. 80 divided by 10 is 8. How'd you do on those? I have a feeling you guys are doing a pretty good job on these. All right. Now let's go down to the ones that maybe are like a little bit extra thinking, one more extra step. Let me change my color up this time. All right. So let's just go through a couple of these, of the algebra ones. 10 divided by 10, this side, if I solved it, would be 10. 4 times 10 is 40. So the alligator would eat the 40. 17 minus 6 is 11. No regrouping needed. 18 divided by 2. Ooh, divided by 2 was yesterday's lesson. Do you remember how you split the 18 in half? What's the double that equals 18? Well, 5 plus 5 is not 18. 6 plus 6 is not 18. 9 plus 9 is 18. So 11 is greater. Okay, 4 times 4. If you know your math multiplication facts by memory, you've got that one down to 16. And 8 plus 8 is also 16. So that one's equal. All right, number 17, if I add 23 plus 14, you should have gotten 37. 5 times 8 is 40. So that one is a less than. We already did number 18 together. 19, 9 times 0 is 0. 9 plus 0 means you start with 9 and add nothing. So that's actually 9. So that's another less than. How'd you do on those? All right, so let's do a couple of these word problems together. Let's get rid of this so we can just focus on the word problems. Hopefully you had somewhat of a good day. Maybe you read some books today. We got to go out for a walk towards the end of the day. It was still kind of cold, even though it was so sunny. But it was nice to go outside a little bit. All right, here we go. Let's look at number 20. It says there's 70 pieces of chalk in a box. If each of 10 students gets an equal number of chalk pieces, how many pieces of chalk does each student get? Okay, so a lot of you are good now at figuring out that this big number towards the beginning is telling you the total. Okay, so my 70 is the total. But this time, the 10 is a little tricky. Okay, we have to read it and think about it carefully of what's happening in my story. It says if each of 10 students gets an equal number, and then it asks me how many pieces of chalk does each student get. So even though they said each towards the beginning of this clue, they're actually asking me to find how many in each. So that means my students are all going to be separated out. I have 10 kids, and then I'm going to give each one of them some of the chalk. So 10 is not how many I'm giving to each one, but it's actually how many students I have. So how many groups of chalk that I have. So this 10 is actually the groups, and the question's asking me how many does each one get. So that's my question. So for this one, I could draw a picture of my 10 students. 1, 2, okay, my pen will do it faster. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I could pass them out, all 70 of them, into these groups, or I could think what number would fill into each of these groups to equal 70. Or I could think of the opposite picture, which is how many times would I need tens and sevens to go together for 70? I would count by 10, even though, like I said, it's the opposite picture. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So that would be 7. So inside each of these groups, I'd have 7. No, I'm not going to do that forever because that will take us too much time. But if it says how many pieces of chalk does each student get, my answer would be 7 pieces each. And again, I'm not going to write all of it out because it's a little slow with this pen. 7 pieces each. Okay, let's look at 21. Elijah wrote his name in 15 school shirts. Cora wrote her name in 15 school shirts. Together, they labeled 10 shirts each day. How many days did Elijah and Cora label shirts? Okay, so this has a lot of number clues in it, so it sounds like it's going to be a multi-step problem. So I like to just start with the first clues and go one clue at a time. So Elijah just has 15. All right, so let me put Elijah's 15. And then Cora also does 15. It doesn't say 15 each. It doesn't say anything else about them. So I've got Elijah 15, Cora 15. Then it says together they labeled 10 shirts each day. So maybe this is their totals. And let's see. Looks like, all right, so I'm going to see here. If I first need to figure out what their total is altogether, that would be 30 shirts. And then it says together they labeled 10 shirts each day, like total for both of them. Okay, so 10 each. So it looks like I'm going to start with this 30, and maybe I could do repeated subtraction, taking away 10 for each day. Like they only do 10 all together each day, then they take a break. So start with 30. Then if I take away, let's do a little number line here. You might hear Joey downstairs banging his truck. Sorry if it's a distraction. 30, take away 10 for day 1. Now they have 20. Take away 10 for day 2. Now they have 10. Take away 10 for another day. Now they're all out. So how many days did they sit down and label them together? It's 1, 2, 3. They did it 3 times or 3 days. That was our multi-step problem here. Okay. All right, let me get rid of this so we can do the last one. A little slow, sorry. Okay, Peyton has 32 cubes. Maybe they're Legos, blocks, something she's building with. Looks like she might be making some trains with them. Okay, Myra has 18 cubes. If both students use all of the cubes to make trains with 10 cubes, how many trains can they make? So since I'm seeing the word both, that means I'm supposed to probably combine their numbers together first. So a little bit like the last time, 32 plus, I'm going to do it vertically since it looks like there's probably some regrouping here. 2 plus 8 is 10. Carry the 1. 1 plus 3 plus 1 is 5. So that's my first step because it says that both of them are going to use the trains together. They've got 50 cubes total, and looks like they're going to work together to make trains of 10. So that sounds like division. 50 divided by 10. And we've gotten pretty good at this now. I think you can do it mentally probably. 50 divided by 10 is 5. So our answer for that one is 5. Okay, I'm going to stop this video and I'll just do one more video for the word problems on the back.